Tamil genocide. Ula Tamils have been dealing with the traumatic effects of genocide for decades. The aftermath of the genocide continues to impact our people as they continue to fight for justice. The impacts of genocide has been going on for decades. It's something newer generations struggle to comprehend. But what happens when two Tamil individuals are taken back in time and witness these significant events firsthand? Trigger warning, mentions of violence, murder, and war.
What did you want to show me?
I found this time machine and I want to check it out. The machine is here, come on.
Oh no,
Don't touch that.
where are we?
I think we're in Sri Lanka during the genocide. My mom opened up to me about this. I heard many Tamil Ula people were tragically killed. They are in fact in Sri Lanka, witnessing these events of the Tamil genocide. This long and brutal genocide took place between July 1983 and May 2009. As a result of the ongoing ethnic tensions between the Tamil and Sri Lankan governments, the genocide quickly escalated. These particular groups displayed differences among religious and linguistic aspects, further contributing to their initial tensions. In response to the discriminatory policies faced by the Tamils in Sri Lanka, they developed the idea of the Tamil Ulam. This movement revolved around liberating Tamil people from the genocidal state of Sri Lanka using the principle of self-determination. What is happening? These homes are collapsing and people are in danger. What just happened?
It looks like a bomb attack. They're coming. Let's get out of here.
No, please don't shoot.
Someone says, keep moving. They're killing innocent people. Why is this happening?
Trigger warning, mentions of rape, execution, violence, child abuse, graphic injuries. The 2009 massacres. The 18th of May is Tamil Genocide Remembrance Day, to mark the bloody genocide and the countless victims of the Mullawaikal massacre. Tens of thousands of Tamil civilians were killed by the Sri Lankan military during the final stages of the genocide. The mass murdering of innocent Tamil citizens took place between January and May of 2009. Civilian homes and nearby hospitals were primarily targeted, and essential services including food and medicine were blocked. Many infants were prone to malnutrition and died starving, while mainstream medias were called off in order to hide the brutality. Although the government signed a convention prohibiting the usage of cluster bombs and chemical weapons, they used them on innocent Tamil civilians. The increase in air attacks resulted in more brutal deaths as the Tamil citizens were limited to escape. They fled to Mullawaikal, a quote-unquote no-fire zone. But once a large number of Tamil citizens arrived for shelter, they were tragically bombed. Multiple citizens have described the devastation seeing hundreds of helpless bodies scattered from the bombing. These violations of human rights on behalf of the Sri Lankan government continue to haunt many victims to this day. Survivor story. A 50-year-old survivor who goes by the name ST recalls her experience during the Mullawaikal massacre. Quote, "The army made us strip completely in front of the children. All the women were made to walk around the Sri Lankan soldiers in a circle. The soldiers were laughing at us. All the women were then raped in front of everyone. My daughter and I were raped in front of her children. I was raped in front of my grandchildren. After about 2 hours, the soldiers asked a naked boy and a girl who didn't know each other to hug each other at gunpoint. As they hugged due to fear, they were shot in front of our eyes. I can still picture that moment. They then separated all young boys and girls from us and took them away. They never came back. We heard screams, wailings, and shootings continuously. We were not given any food or water for the first 2 days." End quote. This area is under attack.
Get out. They're capturing the civilians.
This is too much. I want to go home.
These innocent people are being tortured and killed.
They're coming! Quick, get the machine!
Are we out of there?
I hope so, but the citizens are still trapped.
Oh no, they're bombing entire towns.
That town was full of innocent civilians seeking shelter. The aftermath of the war. In Canada, Tamil Canadians were protesting and raising awareness on the genocide that occurred in Sri Lanka in order to educate others. Furthermore, the Canadian Tamil Congress, Scarborough location, called for the Canadian government to send disaster assistance response teams in order to help the Tamil civilians in Sri Lanka. Even after the Mullawaikal massacre came to an end, tensions between the Tamil minority and Sri Lankan government were high. Tamil designated areas were heavily monitored and occupied by the Sri Lankan soldiers. People linked to the LTTE were tracked by officials. The Prevention of Terrorism Act (PTA) implemented by the Sri Lankan government specifically targets Tamil civilians as well. The oppression and injustice against Tamil minorities is still evident, thus the increase in support. As the Sri Lankan government was under scrutiny for human rights violation, people around the globe called for action and demanded justice for Tamils.
I'm so glad we got out of there.
That was really scary.
I believe we just witnessed all those heartbreaking events.
When I was told about the genocide, I never pictured it to be this brutal and traumatic.
I can't fathom the amount of trauma the Tamil victims of genocide have to deal with.
They deserve justice. We have to stand up for Tamil genocide and educate those who are unaware. Ongoing Tamil genocide. Genocidal acts are still being carried out by the Sri Lankan government. Monumental structures are being destroyed and traditional land belonging to the Tamil population is being seized. Tamil activists and journalists are being silenced and arrested for their contributions in educating others. Furthermore, armed forces are still occupying Tamil Eelam, and unfortunately, abductions and violence continues. It is our part to actively speak up about the past and current discriminatory acts regarding Tamil genocide. Educate those who are unaware and continue to spread the word. Don't forget the Tamil genocide.